the team observed C. matruchotii cells dividing into up to 14 different cells at once. Wow, 14 cells in just one reproduction cycle, depending on the length of the original mother cell. These cells also only grow at one pole of the mother filament, something called tip extension. C. matruchotii filaments act as scaffolding within dental plaque, which is a biofilm. Dental plaque is just one microbial community within an immense population of microorganisms that live in and coexist with a healthy human body, an environment known as the human microbiome. This discovery sheds light on how these bacteria proliferate, compete for resources with other bacteria, and maintain their structural integrity within the intricate environment of dental plaque. Reefs have coral, forests have trees, and the dental plaque in our mouths have Corynebacterium. The Corynebacteria cells in dental plaque are like a big bushy tree in the forest. They create a spatial structure that provides the habitat for many other species of bacteria around them. That's kind of trippy. These biofilms are like microscopic rainforests. The bacteria in these biofilms interact as they grow and divide. We think that the unusual C. matruchotii cell cycle enables the species to form these very dense networks at the core of the biofilm. The microbial forest. The research builds off a 2016 paper that used an imaging technique developed at the MBL called ClassyFish, combinatorial labeling and spectral imaging fluorescent in situ hybridization, to visualize the spatial organization of dental plaque collected from healthy donors. This early study imaged bacterial consortia within dental plaque, which are called hedgehogs due to their appearance. One of the major findings from the original paper was that filamentous C. matruchotii cells act as the basis of the hedgehog structure. The present study took a deeper dive into the biology of C. matruchotii using time-lapse microscopy to study how the filamentous cells grow. Rather than just capturing a snapshot of this microbial rainforest, the scientists were able to image bacterial growth dynamics of the miniature ecosystem in real time. They saw how these bacteria interacted with each other, used the space, and in the case of C. matruchotii, the incredible way they grow. To figure out how all the different kinds of bacteria work together in the plaque biofilm, we have to understand the basic biology of these bacteria, which live nowhere else but the human mouth. Dentists recommend brushing your teeth and therefore brushing away dental plaque rainforests, I added the rainforest part, twice a day, yet this biofilm comes back no matter how digilently you brush your teeth. By extrapolating from cell elongation experiments measured in micrometers per hour, the scientists found that C. matruchotii colonies could grow up to a half millimeter per day. Other species of Corynebacteria are found elsewhere in the human microbiome, such as skin and inside the nasal cavity. Yet the skin and nasal Corynebacterium species are shorter, rod-shaped cells that are not known to elongate by tip extension or divide by multiple fission. Something about this very dense, competitive habitat of the dental plaque may have driven the evolution of this way of growing. C. matruchotii lack flagella, the organelles that allow bacteria to move around. That's fascinating. Since these bacteria can't swim, researchers believe its unique elongation and cell division might be a way for it to explore its environment, similar to mycelial networks seen in fungi and streptomyces bacteria that live in soil. This really does sound like a fungus. This sounds like it's a bacteria with fungus behavior, which is pretty trippy. I don't know if we've ever found that before. I need to look into that. If these cells have the ability to move preferentially towards nutrients or toward other species to form beneficial interaction, this could help us understand how the spatial organization of plaque biofilms comes out. Who would have thought that our familiar mouths would harbor a microbe whose reproductive strategy is virtually unique in the bacterial world? The next challenge is to understand the meaning of this strategy for the health of our mouths and bodies. So we'll go on to Earth here. Vast donut discovered in molten metal of Earth's core. Australian scientists hail finding as a step in unlocking secret of planet's protective magnetic field. So this is two massive magnetic Earth discoveries basically like in the same week. This was the day before the other one. What did we do? The NASA discovers third global energy field was August 31st. This one is August 30th. So within 24 hours of each other coming out, at least on mainstream news. I mean, it said that these journals came out on different days or whatever, but found that to be fascinating. By traveling to the center of the Earth via seismic waves, scientists have discovered a ring-like structure within the swirling pool of molten metal known as the outer core. Research published in the journal Science Advances has identified a donut-shaped region within the outer core parallel to the equator. A study co-author and Australian National University geophysicist Professor Herjavt Kalkalik, I think that's Turkish, that's really hard to pronounce for me, said because scientists could not reach the core with current technology, the team had analyzed the forms of seismic waves generated by large earthquakes as they traveled through it. They found the waves slowed down as they passed through a section near the ceiling before the mantle. By understanding the geometry of the paths of the waves and how they traverse the outer core's volume, we constructed their travel times through the Earth. We realized seismic waves slowed down in the zone that is mathematically called a torus. To most people, this looks like a donut. Understanding the outer core was important, he said. It was critical to the survival of life at the surface. It was responsible for the magnetic field, which protected the Earth from constant bombardment of charged particles from the sun. Currents moving within the molten iron and nickel acted like a giant dynamo that generated and sustained the Earth's magnetic field. Tekalkalik said scientists did not yet know why the Earth had this active dynamo when many other planets did not. It's fair to say that we understand the surfaces of other planets in more detail than our own planet's interior. Earth's interior, a solid center containing the inner core, encapsulated by a liquid outer core, and then the mantle, was just as immense. Overall, the core was slightly larger than Mars. We can think of it as a planet within our own planet. It's really fascinating that he would use those words. That's kind of like going back to like some sort of hidden Earth, like inner Earth type of thing. I mean, you know, if you believe in something like that, but it's kind of funny that he would use those words. He added, "We don't know that the exact thickness of the donut, but we inferred that it reaches a few hundred kilometers beneath the core mantle boundary. The structure's buoyancy suggested the presence of lighter chemical elements such as silicon, sulfur, oxygen, and hydrocarbon or carbon. What makes this field really fascinating is that pretty much everything we do know is based on an inference on the data that we have on the surface." A co-author, Dr. Xiaolong Ma, said the discovery of a new structure within the outer core lifted a veil on the dynamics of Earth's magnetic field, yet there were still mysteries about the Earth's outer core that are yet to be solved. Many, many mysteries about the Earth and its core. So that was the last article. Well, actually, I have this one, but it's not a full-on article. It's a lot shorter. So this is the pictures of the moon that I was talking about. It says Kurdish astrophotographer Darya Kawa Mirza has taken the most advanced photos of the moon ever, revealing unprecedented surface details. The image, which required 4 days of continuous observation and shooting, shows the moon topography in stunning clarity and detail, revealing features that may have never been seen before. Mr. Mirza's photograph, which he described as the clearest and sharpest moon image he has ever captured, was the result of 4 days of continuous observation and shooting. The final image is a stunning 159 megapixels and has a size of 708 gigabytes, created by stacking 81,000 individual images, which, if you remember the lunar episode, I'm sure that y'all saw this coming already, me bringing this up. If you remember the lunar episode I did, I talked about how these images that I saw were super, super massive in size, and that it was like many megapixels. I said that exactly, and that the file size was super big. And now that I read creating by stacking pictures, there was squares like that had edges on them. So it makes sense that if it talking about stacking images to make a giant picture, and that I got really excited whenever I was reading that, because that's a lot closer to what we should be getting. Because okay, the pictures that we get from JPL are like 2 megapixels. You remember when I was saying that? It was like 2 to 20, maybe 20 max. This guy has a 159 megapixel picture of the moon. And so yeah, I'm hoping that we will get more stuff like that in the future. And I will scroll a little bit through the photos here. And I have some other ones, and I'll post this and link it, of course, but we'll read a little bit more about it. So he has the telescope used and the camera used and all of that, which is very detailed. I'm not going to read that. But it says that as well, the moon is a flat disk detailed with topography. I guess the flat disk part is like a photography thing. He's going to get the flat earth people going with that sort of statement. I wish we could ask him what he meant by the moon as a flat disk. I'm pretty sure he's talking about like photography there. But the moon was posted on Reddit, where it sparked a lively discussion among enthusiasts. One user questioned whether the colors on the image were representative of actual metals and minerals on the moon. A user clarified that the colors in the image are not what the human eye would naturally perceive. The saturation has been increased to highlight geological differences on the lunar surface. The reddish areas indicate high iron and feldspar content, while the blue tinted zones have higher titanium content. Instead of viewing the colors as real or fake, it's more accurate to consider them a tool that simulates what one might see with enhanced detection capability. Another user explained, simply urging us to think like someone who is colorblind. Colorblind people can't see certain colors, like red and green. To them, these colors might appear as shades of gray or be so muted that they look the same. The colors are there, but they can't see them because their eyes aren't sensitive enough. Similarly, the colors in Darya Mirza Moon's photograph are real, but our eyes might not be sensitive enough to pick them up using natural state. The enhancements in the photo make these colors more visible. So that's fascinating. And we have his Instagram here, and you can go through some more stuff and pictures. People asking about, can you see tracks from lunar missions? You know, there's a lot of questions that are going to start to be coming up, and I'm glad that this one is like one of the first ones up there. Can you see any tracks? It's a good question. And I mean, here you see canyons and stuff. They're way too far away. I mean, at least in my opinion. You'd have to have some sort of crazy telescope to see something like structures on the moon. The pictures, I'll say this as well. These pictures that we're looking at were taken from the surface of the Earth. The pictures that were in the lunar episode I did, and all the stuff that I saw that was on the NASA website, was taken from craft that were only like 20 kilometers above the surface, or less in some areas. So you do the math on that. We're talking about an exponentially different, like in distance, exponentially different distance between 20 kilometers from the surface of the moon from, let's look up how many kilometers are from the Earth to the moon. 384,000 kilometers compared to 20. So these photos that they have from the government are obviously much, much better than what even this guy has. But he does have some fantastic pictures, but it's crazy because just him talking about the measurements of, or I mean, not the measurements, but the data size of the image, one image being 708 gigabytes. That's pretty crazy. And here is his some more stuff. And it's also notable that this is a person that's from Erbil, Iraq, and he was Kurdish. This is an oppressed group of people that have had many genocide type actions taken upon them from different governments. And it makes me kind of sad that the Middle East has gone through such turmoil. I mean, we killed many people. I think it was like 2 million or something like that, Iraqis during Operation Iraqi Freedom. And how many of them were geniuses like this guy? We have a guy from Iraq that's taking moon photos from the ground. I mean, that's pretty impressive too. That's something that we should be take account of, that we need peace on Earth so that people can grow up and go to their full capabilities. Think of how many geniuses there are in the world that just never get their opportunity to rise. I mean, there's a saying, and it gets made fun of a lot, but it's true, and it's exactly what I'm talking about, of how many Albert Einsteins starved to death in Africa. How many people that would otherwise be geniuses never get the opportunity to grow up. And it just made me think of that with Iraq. And that, it's our tax dollars that are killing these people, and it's our tax dollars that are paying for all this space exploration. So we actually kind of have the responsibility as taxpayers to make sure what we're doing is ethical. So with that said, I'm proud of Iraq. I'm proud of the people of Iraq and the people of Earth. And yeah, I felt like that needed to be said. But his website is kind of expensive though. He's charging it's like $50 for a print. I think his biggest for the 708 gigabyte one, I think it's $30 to get that picture. Maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. I don't know. I feel like we'll be able to. I don't even know if I'd be able to use it in the podcast anyways, like if it has copyright and stuff like that. I tried to look it up on the website if I would have licensing for the image, but it didn't have anything to say about that, so I'm not really sure. But if you want to purchase prints, there were some that were even like $3, or they're not all really expensive on his website, but all of the big ones were pretty expensive. So we're gonna go on to the last thing here with the rescue, and it is a miraculous rescue. Pretty dramatic.
Inside this destroyed home in Ketchikan, Alaska, a decade of blissful memories for husbands William and James Montvere.
So we've been together 42 years now.
They were just days from closing the sale of this 3-story home.
I told Bill, I said, you know what? I really love this house and I'm going to miss it. And 20 minutes later, it was all over.
Your world literally turned upside down.
Completely, yeah.
Their house sliding 47 feet down this hill, crashing into another home. The hillside so unstable, the neighborhood was evacuated.
It sounded just like a jet engine taking off. So I thought there was a jet crashing into.
He thought a plane was about to land in the house, and the wall came and threw the sofa, threw me up into the ceiling where I dislocated my shoulder, and then dropped me back down on the sofa, which is where I cracked the 4 ribs.
One person was killed in the landslide, and had it not been for their dishwasher, William believes he would have died too.
So when the wall came down on top of him, it was actually protected by the dishwasher that he was under. So we owe a big thank you to Bosch.
Thanks to rescuers, the couple managed to get out with injuries, but their optimism intact. However, their two dogs, Alani and Cassie, were nowhere to be found.
Either they didn't make it, or somebody had found them, was holding on to them, but didn't know how to get in touch with us, or whatever was going on. So we basically said our private goodbyes to them.
1 week after that horrific ordeal, engineers doing an assessment heard something unusual coming from inside that collapsed home.
Heard a whimpering coming from the structure, so that kind of started a response from us.
Firefighters assembled like heroes, crawling through the unstable house.
It was like a 3-foot crawl space, so I shimmied through that and then back up into that 1.5-foot void to the couch. And I saw eyes. I was elated. I got a really high-pitched, excited voice. I was like, oh my God, I found the dog. I see eyes and they're blinking.
The sisters were successfully pulled out, the pups wrapped in blankets, safe in the arms of their rescuers.
And you're doing good too.
Alani and Cassie finally reunited with their dads.
How are your girls?
They're wonderful.
They're amazing. I mean, even the vet was surprised.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I got goosebumps right now. Like, do you guys believe in fate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Call it fate or good fortune, this couple sure has earned their fair share. A reminder that even when all is lost, love can find its way back.
Yeah, so what a heartwarming story. I mean, that's absolutely insane that he said that he's going to miss the house and then it was gone 20 minutes later. And the fact that the puppies were still alive after a full week of no food. I guess they had to have been drinking water, something like a pipe leak or something, or maybe they weren't. It was literally just a miracle that they survived. Typically, dogs wouldn't last a week without water, so that's absolute miracle right there. As well, with the markings on the outside of the houses, I thought that was interesting because I haven't seen that in a long time. They were spray painting numbers and stuff on the fences, and that's anytime there's a disaster and they're going house to house and clearing the houses, they will spray paint information on the outside of the house to let anybody else coming after them know that the house has already been cleared and what's inside, any dangers, are there living people or not living people inside. And so it's pretty amazing as well that they were coming over here just to do an engineering thing and then ended up seeing the dogs and had the equipment to get them. It's very brave to go into a collapsed house to get animals or anything alive, because that house could shift and there could be another landslide. So very brave people to go in there and try to rescue those things. I'm just very happy that everybody was able to get away from that for the most part. They did say one person had passed, but I mean, with landslide of houses, that's a miracle that it was only one person. So and it's crazy as well that they got saved by the washing machine or the dishwasher or whatever it was. It's interesting she brought up fate as well, because I don't think anybody would have been expecting those dogs to come home, but they did. So it kind of was fate. And the fact that there was somebody there right whenever they were whimpering that could hear them, that had the equipment or even the care to go in there and try to rescue them. I would say that's a pretty big miracle. Very wholesome story. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and we'll be back with some more.